Ready?
10, 7, take 3.
Yeah!
Hey everyone, I'm Matthew Evans with Los Matatas Studios, and welcome to the behind the scenes of our recent 48-hour sci-fi short film, The Last Directive. It was a wild experience, and there's a lot we want to talk about in this behind the scenes video, so let's get right into it. Heading into this year's Albuquerque 48, I was definitely feeling a lot of pressure.
I think I was more stressed heading into this 48 than I've ever been for any 48 ever. There was a lot of pressure having recently come off of a couple wins in timed film competitions, like the last 3 in a row actually, so the pressure was very intense.
When we got to the genre draw, that's always a bit of a nerve-wracking thing because the genre draw really determines a lot about how the experience is going to go in a particular year. So get to the genre draw, and it did not go our way.
Okay, A11, Los Matatas Studios. What do you got? What do you want?
My favorite, Steven Spielberg. I'm glad he's still up there. Let's go.
What does Spielberg reveal? Dark comedy and/or climate film.
As soon as I saw that we had gotten a choice between dark comedy or climate film, my heart absolutely sunk. Those are 2 of my least favorite genres on the list. Dark comedy is something that we actually did use as our genre a couple of years ago when we made Wounded. And although I think Wounded is a solid film, it's not really a dark comedy. So I didn't want to choose that again. But then climate film is not even really a genre, honestly, in my opinion. It's something that is so heavily message-based. I would rather tell a good story because I think that's what filmmaking is about. But we're locked into this genre choice of dark comedy or climate film, so we ultimately went with climate film.
The writing process this year absolutely sucked. This year, it just felt like turtles in tar, just like the thought processes weren't jiving, the genre was throwing us a wrench, and it just wasn't really working. At around like 2 a.m., we scrapped everything we had. Let's go back to the drawing board. There have been years where we're almost finished by 2 a.m., so at 2 a.m. to just like completely start over was massively discouraging, and you're exhausted and you can't imagine starting the process all over again, but we had to. I thought, okay, I'm gonna just take what we originally had, give me like 30 minutes, and I'm just gonna try to destroy it and then put it back together with no words. So I did.
Seriah came up with the idea of running with a similar storyline, but removing all the dialogue, bringing it down to the bare essentials. That ended up being one of the strongest things that we landed on, even in the midst of a very difficult year this year, was to strip the film of dialogue and tell a story visually and emotionally, and really, really zero in on that.
The heart of the story was the connection between the android and a human, and that was going to be done in the simplest way with the least amount of explanation if the person he bonded with was a child. Our teammate Maggie Witt had a connection. Her friend had a daughter that was willing to be in it, so that's how we cast our 6-year-old actress, Aria.
So the next day, Saturday, was our big production day for shooting the 48, and we started at this incredible location just west of Albuquerque. There is a small section of sand dunes.
Once we got out there, these sand dunes were just really spectacular. Our props and set people, Maggie and Katie, working really hard on, like, they had a bunch of debris and they just like scattered it on the sand dune. And then with Ryan in the frame, he just sat up, and it was like seeing that like image in my head, but just in real life, which is a really cool thing to experience as a writer. I haven't experienced that very often, where it's so exactly the way I was picturing it. Ryan is just so good at being a robot, I guess. He showed up shaved, and we all were joking that he looked like a 12-year-old boy. I was like, we gotta fill in those eyebrows. Like, we need them to look robot-y. Like, he needs to look perfect, but also then like he's been through a war. So we had to like, you know, just do a little bit of cosmetic makeup to make him look more like artificially human. And then Caitlin did a really good job of both that and then also like making him look absolutely like filthy and banged up on top of looking like a perfect human. So it all kind of pulled together, and I think it worked really well.
I remember very distinctly a moment as we were out at the sand dunes and just before we actually started shooting. Caitlin and Seriah and Evelyn had all been working with Ryan to get his look situated as the central android character, and they had it all figured out. And he started walking toward the dunes and kind of up this hill to where we were actually going to shoot, where our cinematographers AJ and Kyle were already setting up. And as he started walking, he was sort of trying out this very robotic walk. And the combination of the look that they had given him, the makeup, the costume, all of that, with his acting already coming out, even just as he walked to the filming location, was one of the most memorable moments for me, because it was a moment where it's like, that is really cool. All of a sudden, all these different creative elements clicked together into place, and that's one of the things that I love about filmmaking, is when these different departments that are all doing separate jobs come together to create a great film moment. Is that good, AJ? All right, cut.
Moving on.
So we were off to a good start with this first scene with Ryan at the sand dunes. So we headed back into the city of Albuquerque proper and to Petroglyph National Monument, an area on the west side of Albuquerque that has a lot of volcanic rock mixed with desert areas. It's another cool kind of stark area that we thought would fit well in the world of this film.
The next few locations were frustrating. They weren't what I was picturing in my head. And then on top of that, we got kicked out of 2 of them.
They kicked us out because we didn't have a permit. So, you know, it happens. But we were able to finish those scenes just outside of the monument fence, and so we were still able to capture what we needed to, which ended up working out well.
But we got connected with our actress Aria. We had her on set for the first time. We tried to give her some time to warm up to Ryan before they had to be in the scene together. We may or may not have given Ryan a cake pop to offer her as like an offering of goodwill from this strange man that's going to be acting with you.
We got you a cake pop. How do you feel about cake pops?
You like cake pops?
I'll let you open it when you have your hands reusable.
What do you say?
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. So our third location of the day was down in the Bosque, and this was a very different location than the first 2 because it was not a deserted location. It was in fact the exact opposite. It was a swamp. The Rio Grande had actually overflowed its banks into the cottonwood trees area and had turned into this swampy area, just a bunch of standing water, creating a very unique location that we really wanted to use, and we were able to kind of justify it for this story because our story takes place on an Earth where the climate has fallen apart on, so it's justified that some places have turned into desert, other places are flooding and are turned into these huge swamps, so we figured all that would fit together well.
At that point, we'd been shooting out in the sun for hours. We had been, keeping people hydrated. We had lots of snacks, but we hadn't had a dinner break, and once Aria got from the desert shooting to the Bosque shooting, we had a scene basically at the emotional climax of the film where the android was supposed to pick her up and run with her away from some bad androids that are chasing them. She just wasn't having it.
Our young actress Aria was just kind of tiring out for the day, which I can't blame her. She was 6.
It's hard to work with small humans on a set when you're used to working with big humans that understand that you can just kind of like put your own issues to the side and get it done for the sake of the group. Kids don't understand that as a mentality, so it was a struggle to get her to work with Ryan. We had to basically be doing some active rewriting on the spot, so that was really stressful.
We really had to kind of piece by piece work through some of those final scenes to get even an approximation of what was in the script and what we were looking for. But this is where the team really came together.
If we just said that we were gonna do a practice run and we treated it like a race, we could get Aria to chase Maggie and myself and Rowan. If we were like in front of where the camera was gonna be shooting and then Ryan ran behind her. So at a certain point, I remember just being like, okay, we're gonna practice. AJ, we're gonna practice! And somehow that worked in the cut. Fix it in post, I guess. Our robots, Maggie, Ben, and Gaudry, and then our human survivors, Chloe and Kara, were really fantastic. They were absolutely troopers for hanging in there while we were working the more difficult scenes out, and they did a great job.
Hi, my name is Gaudry Lau. I'm playing Bad Robot number 1, and I'm having a great time on this production. It's been so much fun. We have a great location out here in the Bosque. It's been amazing. Great cast, co-stars, great crew, great script. Hope everybody watching enjoys it. It's been a great time.
My name is Ben Sanderson. I am Bad Robot number 2. It's kind of a normal 48-hour film project. I think what they pulled together is going to be pretty good. We still have some stuff to shoot. I just died, so that's fun. Yeah, overall, it's been fun. I look forward to seeing the finished product.
My name is Caitlin, and I did a bunch of roles, I guess, on the set. I did hair, makeup. I played a mom that was just lying on the floor dead, so that was exciting. So hence all the makeup. I also helped with costuming and just whatever miscellaneous things that were needed. Yeah, it's been a long day. It's very exhausting. A lot of time in the sun, running on a little sleep and a little energy, but we're making it happen.
My name is Ryan Aid. I play the lead android in this film. This has been a very interesting experience. Filming with Los Mutares always is interesting. One of the main things, I had to shave my beard, which I never shave my beard, so I think I look 12 years old. Everybody else thinks I look okay. I had to wade in water today. I think some people called the police on us. So it's been a blast. It's been such an experience. I would say my favorite part about today was working with Aria. She's an incredible little girl, and she was really easy to work with, and she had a really sweet personality, and I just think that dynamic between the two of us is going to add a dimension to the film that wouldn't have otherwise been there if it had just been me, or if I'd been working with somebody around my age. I really liked the sweetness between the android and this surviving little girl.
So we barely finished the film just as the sun was going down. We were right on the cusp of losing the light. It was a very close finish, but we got it done.
Okay, here we go. That's
Of course, didn't know exactly what we had yet because still had to go into editing. Probably the most difficult piece of the editing on this project were the visual effects. There were a lot of visual effects shots in this film, especially for a 48-hour film, more than we would normally have. There was a hologram featuring our required character, the cameo by me as Darren Poe, the sports reporter. There were also several heads-up display shots where we needed to see the surroundings through the android's point of view. And then finally we had a map that he was projecting on the ground, but thankfully was able to work through all of that. We got the film turned in on time, and it was just a matter of waiting to see, how things went.
It came out, I think, a lot better than some of us were expecting it to. We were a little bit worried that we didn't have enough footage, and it cut together beautifully. Matthew did an excellent job in the edit.
Competitively, this year didn't go our way, at least not to the same degree as it did with Kairos last year. And that's okay. I am really, really proud of the awards that we did win. AJ got a Best Cinematography award, finally. He's been long overdue for winning Best Cinematography, and he got that this year. Morgan won a Best Sound award for her work on the boom mic. We also won an Audience Vote award for Best Trailer for our screening group. And finally, we were actually nominated for Best Film. We were one of the top 5 teams that were in the running for Best Film this year. So with such a bumpy experience and so many problems that cropped up and got in our way, I'm very proud of this team for persevering through a difficult process. And I think that is one of the biggest takeaways for me personally from this year. We did not give up. There were multiple times during this process where I personally wanted to give up. I'm supposed to be leading this team and co-directing this film with my wife, and yet I wanted to give up. I wanted to give up during the writing process, during the afternoon and evening when we were running into shooting roadblocks just over and over. We fought through it, and I'm so glad that we didn't give up. Regardless of whether we won this year, I'm really pleased with the way the film turned out, and we never would have had that if I had given in to those thoughts of giving up, and I had given in to the frustration of the moment where it was really challenging at a particular point in the process. But we wouldn't have gotten to the point where we have this finished film, The Last Directive, that we can all be really proud of. I think that's one of the keys that I love about what we do with Los Matados Studios is the team is so solid, and they just really care about each other and about what we're working on. They want, the whole team wants the quality of the project to be high, but we want to have a good time working together doing it as well. So I'm just very grateful to the Los Matados Studios team, everybody who's willing to keep doing these crazy things and go through bumpy ones like what we experienced with The Last Directive. It's just a great experience working with this team.
I'm glad that we did it because, well, we finished what we started. We turned our film in on time and it was a complete film. Even if there were certain elements that weren't perfect, I think it's one of our stronger sci-fi films, and sci-fi is a genre that I love working in, and it was really great to be able to like see a vision kind of evolve and become something bigger than just the one image. So I think it was good.
So I think that's about it for the behind the scenes of The Last Directive. Thank you so much for watching this behind the scenes and for joining us for these behind the scenes videos in general. I hope these are interesting to see a little bit about our process, about how we make these films. And we've got more behind the scenes coming up this fall because we have 2 more short films that we made this past summer that are going to be coming out this fall, and both of those will have behind the scenes with them. So stay tuned for that, and thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.